and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to welcome you to the seminar under the topic of ESG Regulation, Carbon Reduction Roadmap and Global Carbon Trade for PCB Industry. This seminar is a part of Thailand Electronic Circuit Asia 2024 (TECA), the event of manufacturing and solution of PCB and PCBA, under the theme of empowering local PCB, strengthening supply chains, fostering growth. This event is the collaboration between the Board of Investment, the Thai Printed Circuit Association, and the Hong Kong Printed Circuit Association. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Luther Wong, Managing Director, C&G Environmental Technology Limited, Vice Chairman HKPCA to the stage.
So welcome to the seminar. The organizer told me to speak in English, and I guess there will be a number of people read Chinese. So my presentation will be, the PPT will be both English and in Chinese. So it looks a little bit complicated because of bilinguals. Hope you're able to read it easily. Okay, so for today's seminar, we are going to focus on the ESG requirement overview. Especially, we will concentrate on environment issue, as social and governance normally involve a lot of company internal affairs, which may not be so convenient to discuss openly. So I will basically concentrate much more on environmental, which is also much more complicated in requirement in this aspect. And then we will review a little bit about the international and Hong Kong rules and regulation on this ESG. And we will also go through the international customer requirement. We realize that nowadays a lot of requirement from Western countries on this one. And with environmental issue, everybody concerned about the costs incurred. And so in here, I'm going to share the carbon reduction blueprint, roadmap, costing aspect. With additional costs incurred, can we earn back some money? So I will share the global carbon trading situation. And is there any successful case? I will share one quite famous one, Tesla, for everybody reference. Now we want to get carbon trade, how to obtain such certificate. I will share some of the procedures. And later on, we will see, even though you know how to get the carbon certificate, we need carbon reduction technologies. Without actual achieved carbon reduction, you cannot, even though you know the procedures, you are not able to get any quantity. So I'm going to based on this. The content is a little bit more than 30-45 minutes. Some boring area I will just skip, so you can read it from the PPT. If you like, we can ask the organizer to share to you afterwards, so that you do not need to make any copies. You can get the copy afterwards. So now let's start about the ESG requirement overview. First of all, let's define what do we mean by ESG. E stands for environmental, S social and governance. I guess everybody knows about this. With this ESG requirement, the global specification are basically listed here. There are subtitles of which one. For the environment, we will look into the carbon emission. We will look into the resources conservation, protection, pollution control, climate change elements, biodiversity, waste management, environmental regulations. So this will be the 7 focuses of environment issue. For the social, this is quite a norm from global requirement. For the social, we will look into health and safety, labor relationship, development and training of staff, equality, human rights, privacy, community participation. So when we talk about the social requirement that when they ask you to provide the report, they will look into these main 7 segments. While for the governance, we will look into 6 requirements or elements. Board of directors, that means for the governance, they do not talk about the middle management, they talk about from the top down. The board of directors, they will look into the accountability, independency, diversity, pay tied to ESG. That means if the performance of the ESG is no good, then the board of director remuneration should be reduced. This is what being requested in this element. And then we will look into the internal control and risk management systems and procedures, like do you have ISO system, ISO 4001, and etc. Anti-corruption, complaint and reporting system. So these are the 6 elements we focus for the governance. As I mentioned today, I'm going to spend most of the time on the environment, and then social and governance, you can refer to these key points to look for more information later. Or if you need any further information, you can write email to me, reach me, we can communicate from there. So with this requirement, it has been talking about the ESG probably close to 5-10 years from now. And in a certain, why there is a ESG requirement, I will explain the reasons behind later. But this is not something that we are working on a casual level. There's a rules and regulation directives from Europe, from North America, from Asian countries on this requirement. So we are not talking about something do you want to do, will you do. It is something you have to compile to law as a basis. With this regulation, we can leave 10 pages. If you look around, search from the Googles about ESG rules and regulation, Europe, North America, you can find so many. Here I list a few critical ones just for example for you to understand. For Europe, mainly I take out down 3. The first one is in January 5th, 2023, 1.5 years ago. They asked for the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. So there's a directive asking for this corporate sustainability. And then one more is more affecting all of us is what we call the CBAM, CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. This is what we simply speaking is a carbon tax. That means later on I will explain a little bit, by 2026, the EU will imply carbon tax to imported products. And the other one, the latest one, not the latest one, and the one I put in here is the European Sustainability Reporting Standard, ESRS. That means in the future, when you want to report this ESG, it is not something you in your preference to write. There is some fixed requirement by law you have to fulfill. So that's why slowly in this couples of 1-2 years, you heard a lot of requirement getting closer and closer. And similarly, in North America, there's also similar rules and regulation, like the one in this March. They're talking about climate disclosure rules, greenhouse gas emissions, CSA staff notice, related investment fund disclosures. That means for the fund investment, they need some ESG disclosures. So these are from the US. And why I especially put Hong Kong into the picture, Hong Kong is one of the earliest cities or countries in Asia implement ESG regulation. In 2017, January 1st, so 7 years ago, Stock Exchange in Hong Kong asking all the listed company has to provide ESG information in their annual report. So that is the long history as compared to many Asian countries. And after that, everybody put a sentence in the annual report, so-called to fulfill the requirement. So the government look at that. After 2 years, they say, well, it is not the way to go. So they implement more stringent requirement. Later on, I will also explain in that sector. And by early January 1st next year, they have to go through, they have to put this as a meet the Hong Kong financial reporting standards. So they provide certain guidelines for you to really follow on the report content. So it is no longer by discretions. Okay, so this is rules and regulation. As I mentioned, there's hundreds of this information you can find from the Googles. Then please, if you are interested on specific one, go to the Google search and then you get the information from there. Okay, then let's go back. Why, in a sudden, we're being asked to work on the ESG? If we recall last 2-3 years, there are two hot topics in the Asian manufacturing market. First one is China Plus One. That's why we are here. Everybody knows what is China Plus One, right? The Western countries, the brand owners asking for additional manufacturing sites outside China. So that means China plus one more manufacturing site minimum. That's what we call China Plus One. And that's why so many manufacturing industry, we talk about PCB, set up their operation in Thailand, Vietnam, some in Malaysia, because of China Plus One requirement. Okay, the other one they asking for is ESG report plus 2 to 3 years carbon reduction roadmap or blueprint. That are the two most hot topics on this. And from here, I simply analyze 5 main reasons for this requirement. First of all, Western brands, international brands, ensure their supply chains are free from any potential ESG-related risk, especially on stop production or operation closing, while Asia and China brands are following. That means, if you're looking into, take a simple example, everybody knows about Apple. Apple has any manufacturing site? No. They only manage the brand. They manage the brand through innovation, products, and then they dedicate the manufacturing supply chain to their manufacturing partners. And they spend a lot of money into marketing. And then they set very specific day for launching the new products, right? Everybody is longing for that day. If any supply chain problem happen in between, the mobile phone is not ready by that day, they're going to lose a lot of money, the investment on what they prepare for the marketing. So what they're doing in the last few years or last 10 years, they do very stringent supply chain monitoring. Besides checking your quality, at the beginning they're checking your quality, ensure quality is okay. Then they check about the delivery. Now they going through these few years, they realize that some unexpected production stopping or factory closing, not under the willing of the manufacturer itself, by law, then they have to suffer substantially from this. And they analyze what will be the potential risk on this. So they're looking around, they define it into the ESG. Any environmental issue, 7 items I list about. Let's say something happened in your discharge, didn't fulfill the discharge requirement. The government officer, environmental government officer, will not let you continue to produce. They will ask you to stop immediately until you rectify the problem. How long? Depends on how big is the problem. So sudden problem like this will create even though the manufacturer does not want to, but it will affect their supply chain seriously. That's why environmental, they look into this. Social, if there's a labor strike, and also why they put the communication participation into the picture. Your labor, the factory labor, smell something didn't like, they ask someone to block the gates, didn't allow your people to go into work. Governance, any corruption issue, any system problem like this. So they analyze all these potential risks affecting the stability of supply chain production. They put into the requirement for you to fill out. At least you analyze and focus on all these potential issues. So that is one requirement from the supply chain. Another requirement is coming from the stock exchange, the securities, government stock exchange. Why Hong Kong in 2017, they're asking for this? I realized that for these monetary control authorities, they have to protect the shareholders, the small shareholder, they buy share from the public. If a company performs extremely well on P&L, but one day they're being shut down because of ESG issue, the stock value will drop a lot. Then the stockholders will complain that why don't you monitor them? You monitor a lot of other issues. You have to take this into the consideration. Should warn us that this company or they should disclose the ESG performance is no good and potential risk. You should not buy their shares. So that's why I think the second reason is these stock exchange authorities. Then this explains why only control on listed company for the time being. Then the third is that the bankers. The banker provide loan to you. If you have this production stop issue, you may not able to return the money to them. So they will ask you not only the P&L, they start to ask you the ESG report. Similarly, any capital investors, fund raising parties that you want to get fund to your capital fund to your operation to your organization, they will also looking into the ESG to minimize this type of impacts. Okay. So, in view of this, so this is the requirement on the outside. So what will be the impact, the consequence? A customer will tell you, show me your ESG report, or when can you provide the ESG report to me? And with the carbon reduction blueprint, if you cannot provide, they will push you. Up to a point, they will say, if you really don't want to do or still cannot provide by when, then we will not discuss with you on new orders, on new design. Even though we talk with you on this, we will not grant you orders because we does not trust your ESG performance. So all this pushing company, forcing the company to go into this is by saying so. Let the customer say, if you don't have a China plus one alternative, sorry, after 2 years, we won't place order to you. So this is also a reason why manufacturers look into the PCB manufacturers look into the ESG requirement and report. This is from external factors. Internally, we also encourage these manufacturers to looking into this. Why? If you seriously analyze all these ESG data, it will provide a very good, very informative scientific data for you, for your management. We talk about sustainability business. That is a very good information basis to ensure your sustainability. So I analyze the situation and summarize into these 5 reasons for the ESG requirements in these few years. So someone will say, then none of my business. I'm not on all this. But why we focus on this environmental issue so badly? Here I share some information that everybody may experience. Extreme climate change recently in many countries, typhoon, storm, earthquake, all this, due to global warming. The global warming simply because the global temperature increased by 1.7 degrees C since industrialization. When we talk about industrialization, it's 200 years ago. That means the 200 years from the from British on the steam engine from to now, only 1.7 degree of creating so much problem. In view of this situation, this everybody talking about GHG. What we call is the greenhouse gases. Here I provide some simple information for you. You may only heard about this GHG, but may not know what we're referring to. So I give you as a base that what we're referring to GHG, greenhouse gases, referring to water, that means steam, carbon, ozone, methane, N2O, HFC, FF6 type, mainly these few types. So these few greenhouse gases create temperature increase of the world. With this situation, what do we do? If you recall, in 2015, 195 countries signed up the Paris Agreement. So up to now is almost 10 years. This Paris Agreement replaced Kyoto Protocol of 1997. The key point of this agreement, there's many pages. I only say one key point here is these 195 countries sign up agree to set emission peak and carbon neutrality target with measures to control global temperature increase less than 2 degrees Celsius. From 1.7 to 2, that means we have 0.3 degree delta, and everybody agree on this. 195 countries, this is almost 80% plus of the global, of all the countries in the world. So this is a very representing agreement that everybody following. And that is the reason why lately we talk about carbon, in Mandarin say 雙碳, carbon, the peak time, and also the neutrality. And each country, they set their time. So you will find some interesting data. Why US 2007, they put their emission peak in 2007, and they signed the agreement only on 2009. Concept is very easy. Carbon emission mainly coming from industries. Traffic, transportation, and industries, and US, Europe, they move out a lot of industries in the past 20, 30 years. So their carbon emission is actually not increasing. They are coming down. So they say we are already at peak 10, 20 years ago. But what they need to do now is they to commit carbon neutrality. That means you have to neutralize all carbon produced generally. Neutral becomes zero. So that is a very strict requirement. So what actions being taken recently is we talk about the C-band. European countries is going to implement carbon tax on imported items. So in 2006, they're going to implement this, but they go into phases. They will go into the heavy polluting products such as steel, cement, paper, glasses, fertilizers, petroleum chemicals. These are the 8 major items they will implement the tax first. Then they will learn and then implement and modify afterwards. US is going to follow the same. In Singapore, in Asia, Singapore implement in 2019 on the green tax. At the moment, they are paying around $5 per ton on this emission. But they say they are going to increase starting this year to 25 Sing dollars to from 25 to 50, 80 Sing dollars onwards. The reason is if they do not impose the green tax, nobody is going to pay or spending investment or more operating costs to reduce carbon. So that is the regulation behind the push for this. And I mentioned that in Hong Kong is asking for this in 2017, and then after everybody put down few sentences on the report. So the government say not the way to do. So in 2021, the stock exchange announced the guideline for the reporting. So they put down 8 requirements on the report. So I put it here. I'm not going to go through them in detail. You can read it by yourself. So from the guidelines, you'll see that 3 related to governance, and then 3 the others are related to the reporting principles, and then the reporting scope has 2. So they say the report should include all this information inside. And with this few years development, big companies, they are concentrating a lot of carbon neutrality issue. You will find the ESG report may be close to 200 pages, even thicker than the annual report, because they have to provide a lot of information, analysis, measures. And besides this, the whole supply chain and manufacturers all need to set their carbon reduction blueprint and work plan. That's why slowly we come up with this ESG blueprint requirement. So I share with you some international brands on electronic products set their own carbon neutrality goal, including their supply chains. So Microsoft, they target to achieve negative carbon emission by 2030, 6 years from now. Coincidentally, what I pick up here, they also say by 2030, they're going to be carbon neutral in all this. And with this, I don't know how much you know about this ESG or the carbon footprint. We always talk about scope 1, 2, 3. I'm going into more detail later. But anyhow, scope 1 and 2 is easier to achieve. Scope 3 is much more complicated. In a way, they say that, well, 1 and 2, they're going to be 0 carbon by 2030, and for the scope 3, reduce more than 50%. Apple mentioned the same. Apple will work with suppliers to achieve this. So if you are supplying to Apple, they will come down to you not only for the quality audit, all the others. They also have a team on EH&S to come for the ESG audit on the requirement. Google's is doing the same. So from here, you will find the international brands pushing this besides the government requirement. For the carbon reduction blueprint, roadmap, and costing, we go into this sector. First of all, we must know that there's a global definition on this protocol. The Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emission. Scope 1 standing for direct emission in production and related process. Scope 2 is indirect outside purchase power, electricity power, steam, from external sources. Scope 3 is indirect emission from your supply chain. So here I simplify the Scope 1, Scope 2. These 2 are easily to assess. You only need to look into the greenhouse gases emission internally. Internally, if you look into this, most are the petroleum, gasoline from the company cars. This is the main one. Then for Scope 2 is the external power you purchase. So you take out your electricity bill, all this, you get the data. Scope 1 and 2 are simply to obtain the data. Scope 3, including the supply chain. All your suppliers, they have to provide list of data for the total carbon emission. Besides the suppliers, it also including the selling activities of your company on the products, the transportation, the outsourcing, storage, product recall, all this. So I list down the major elements here for you to study on your own later. And the above looks very complicated. There's a simple table on this scope 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Then being pushed by law and also by customer, how to do. Here I suggest some ideas for the carbon reduction blueprint roadmap and costing. Form internal ESG project team or appoint professional consultant to assist to set 2 to 3 years carbon reduction blueprint roadmap and action plans. It is quite new to many organizations, don't know how to do. You may waste a lot of time, so you better look around, see the best way for you to do that. With this, then you collect and organize existing scope 1 and 2 data. This data simply to obtain to generate the formal report. For scope 3, you need to work with supply chain parties to have their carbon reduction blueprint and action plan. Those people in the procurement department now start to work with all their suppliers to ask for the information, because when apples come to you for the information, besides your data, you need to get the full data from all your suppliers. And most of them may not know how to do, then you have to form a team to work with them. Otherwise, you don't fulfill the requirement from your customers. And due to this global commitment, carbon reduction is a necessity. Cost consideration is only secondary. Carbon reduction, with this, we have to consider the carbon reduction technologies, equipment, and operating costs always higher than traditional systems. And that's why people quite reluctant to do all this. And in this aspect, we have to really balance the economical impact versus the requirement. We only suggest customer to do when there's no other better solution. Otherwise, you should look for more innovative ideas. So besides the cost we're going to facing, we also need to plan carbon reduction performance be converted to valuable carbon credit, carbon certificate for global trade. People talk about carbon trade, but may not have some idea about this. So in here, I overview the carbon trade market for your information. This carbon trade market divided into compulsory and voluntary, 2 natures. Compulsory is by government requirement. Voluntary is community basis. And all are calculating in the CO2 tons basis. For the market size in 2022, the total carbon trade in the world is 865 billion euro. So people may not aware about this because in our geographical sector, we don't do much. But in Europe, they're taking around 87% of the carbon trade transactions. So, and Europe is 87%, equivalent to 751 billion transactions. A lot of these are double count. People has no better solution for the peeing. They only take this as a record. At least there's some data. And China also implemented this in the last few years. And in 2021, July 16th, they officially launched on the China market. But the way they trade, they value the carbon credit is quite different than European or Western market. So the market size in December 23, by that time is only 24.89 or 25 billion renminbi, much smaller in the European market. And how about the carbon price? This affecting the value you can sell. It is variable, fluctuating, depends on supply and demand. And in EU, the European market, in January 23rd, the average price is 88 euro per ton. And in China, it's only 60.8. So smart business people will think, if I can collect those carbon certs from China and trade in Europe, then I have almost 10 times profit, better than do PCB or supplier to PCB manufacturers. But then how to get the carbon cert, we will share some experience later. So as I say, we would like to share one successful carbon trading case. Tesla, everybody knows about this EU car manufacturer. They start this in 2009. Tesla looking into carbon trade in 2009 when we are still hesitating what to do. They already study and well aware and benefit from there. From 2012 to 2022, 11 years, they earned $7 billion US from carbon trading. Last 3 years, they earned 1.8, almost the same, 2023, 2022, 1.8 billion US from selling carbon. 2021, they sell 1.5 billion. That means keep on slowly increasing. And from day one, 2009, from the record, they have 9 billion US income from carbon. Maybe earn more money than selling the EV cars. So who buy from them? Their competitors. In US, 11 counties set regulation that if you're selling gasoline car, fuel, automotive, you must have a certain ratio of EV car or renewable energy car. If you don't have that amount, then you have to buy from the open market. That means all traditional car manufacturers has go to Tesla to negotiate the carbon credit. Then they will set down and set the price. This is how the system works. So that means there's a successful case. We should focus into turn our cost into profit. Then how to obtain the carbon credit? Everybody realize big money. I also want to participate. Then how to obtain this? For the carbon credit, we only working on the voluntary basis. We cannot work on a compulsory basis. So for the voluntary basis, there are few reputable methodology vetting institutes. That means the so-called carbon reduction technologies, you have to go through a vetting process by this institute to certify as a qualified methodologies. The main players nowadays in US is Vera. Europe is gold standard. China is working with CCR. And the new one in Asia now is called Asia Carbon Institute. They have representative offices, operations in Hong Kong and Singapore. So, and besides this, there are more than 10 unknown local institutes in many other countries. Everybody can set this institute. Only whether being recognized by the world or not is the story. So, first of all, you must have this carbon reduction methodology being vetted and approved. And all these are based on a term called additionality differentiation. If that carbon reduction technology already mature, widely applied, then you cannot claim any carbon credit. And that's why lately when you talk about this PV, solar energy, no more recognized as a carbon certificate. You can only say this is a renewable energy credit, but cannot be carbon credit. And this, the price may be 100 times less. Okay? Then once we have a technology being wet, then how to get the certificate? What will be the quantity of the carbon certificate? We need to go for a carbon credit assessment. That means with the technologies, let's say I have this super safe energy lamps, being certified or vetted. Then this you need a third party to come to your factory to count how many pieces of lamp you install and how many burning hours. This contributing to the exact energy saved quantity. So not only you get the vetting methodology, you can get the cert. That's only the step one. The step two is third-party assessment company like SGS, DUV, global recognized assessment company to come and check the exact data. And after this, then you can put this carbon cert to any carbon trading platform to trade in the market. Some of these are government-based, some of these are community-based. And as I mentioned, with these methodologies, all these carbon cert that we want to obtain, you must go into carbon reduction technologies and approach. Without differentiated carbon technologies, reduction technologies, you cannot get any carbon cert. So we should not ignore the energy, technologies surrounding us, able to contribute to this carbon certificate. And for this, you need to have certain courses. You need an expert for you to to prepare the methodologies for vetting. You need people to certify how all this costs, hoping one day you can earn it back from the carbon cert selling. And as a manufacturers, I would like to draw your attention to one terminology here. Is we try to bring this into the picture. Let's say with PCB factories, we realize that substantial amounts of energy saving is nowadays very difficult. You may have only a little bit here, a little bit there. Then you may need to spend a lot of money on this process. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a way to liaise with WWF, Worldwide Fund, the one with the panda logo, to go into a low carbon manufacturing program. Low carbon manufacturing program in a way that we set a baseline based on the current carbon consumption or emission with numerous implementation of carbon reduction technology. We are able to reduce so much in a year, and that saving turn into a carbon cert. That will simplify the whole carbon manufacturing certificate obtaining process. That's trying to go through now. Two terminologies that we using before is the carbon audit, carbon footprint. They are not carbon cert. They provide only good data for you to get the certificate, but they are not equivalent to the certificate. So you cannot say that I already have carbon data, carbon footprint for 10 years data. It is only information. So this is the trading process with government or NGO vetting institute like World Gold Standard, ACI, all this. They implement and go into the carbon reduction methodology project vetting. And once this is being approved, they go into the third party to assess, then turn this into a carbon cert to registration. Then you go through the platform to trade, go into the market to trade. The process is very simple, but how to get the carbon reduction methodology is the key. And as I mentioned, in the past, most of these standards are under the control of Western countries. And they have less and less manufacturing sites. And we may run into a problem that they may not know how to vet manufacturing process. So few famous industries, they formed this ACI 2 years ago, try to approve carbon reduction methodology of Asian manufacturing and services sector to promote carbon trade of these natures. Before the carbon trade are more on the nature basis, okay? And this team, their expert teams are from worldwide famous industries and experts. Okay, so we talk about this now. Importance, requirement, rules and regulation, and then we know the procedures, and at least we need to get some carbon reduction technology. I share some experience with you here. This type are the what we call the high efficiency AI chiller plant. We enhance the chilling plants, their control, able to reduce energy by 20 to 40%. And with these AI systems, we are able to operate the system managed. Before you need a few people in a chiller plant to turn on the chiller, water cooling tower, etc. With the AI system that we should make use of, then you can run a man-free chiller system and much higher efficiency. Another technologies that we may able to apply is the battery storage. We store the battery in the evening to equalize the power utilization or the cheaper electricity cost. And in the peak time, we apply this stored power to your manufacturing site to optimize the difference, the pricing difference. And as I mentioned, the lighting system, we have the fluorescent lamp for many years, and then we have LED lamps for past 10, 20 years, and the technology stuck over there. And last 1-2 years, there are new technologies able to further reduce LED energy consumption by 50-60%. Let's say a 16-watt light tube can be replaced by 6 watt. That means you save around 10 watts per lamp. And what we should do as ESG participants, we should learn how to calculate the power, the energy power saved into carbon. So we do set up a formula here for you to practice from energy save into carbon emission reduce. Solar panel is another one that we're looking into. And then this technology is able to suppress data by 80%, so you can save hard disk server, minimize the energy required. So I briefly go through the requirement and then the reasons, carbon footprint, some certification procedures, and potential technologies. Hope to arouse some of your interest and have a better contribution to our world in the future. Thank you.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Thank you Mr. Luther Wong Managing Director C&G Environmental Technology Limited Vice Chairman HKPC